Chinese authorities taking steps, trying to boost that struggling economy. You saw investors rush in, Martin. Were you one of those investors, Martin? Would you be urging clients, yes, buy Chinese equities?
Well, there's been a lot of false dawns, Josh, the last several years, and so you have to be careful. But at the same time, some of these Chinese stocks are very, very cheap. These are obviously the, if you will, the Mag 7s of China, the Tencents, and companies like that we're invested in. But at the end of the day, China still has a lot of issues to overcome. The property market is still in the doldrums. You have yet to see some of this fiscal pump priming that we believe is necessary to get the economy on better footing. Now, the first steps have been taken here recently. This is something we've been waiting for quite some time. So on the margin, we've been adding to China over the course of the last 3 to 4 months, but not in large scale. And we'll see, this could be, again, a head fake, but a longer term policy prescriptions that may come out of China will determine what we expect to see in the market going forward. And our expectation is that we see stabilization, and we do see further upside potential for some of these companies listed in China.
One of the other markets that has gotten a lot of attention has been, of course, Japan. Japan has a new incoming prime minister, Shigeru Ishiba, and he apparently is in favor of the Bank of Japan's plan that it's been on to start to raise interest rates more. Is Japan an area that still has some upside?
Yeah, so we use a top-down country allocation approach in some of our international groups within Federated Hermes. And what that means is we're basically picking and choosing different regions and markets to overweight and underweight. And Japan has been one of those markets where we have been overweight. And that's primarily because the yen has been obviously an accelerator to some degree. But to your point, now we are seeing a reversal in at least as it relates to the Bank of Japan's focus on raising rates. They've already kind of telegraphed that October will not see a rise, but we do expect them to continue to normalize their monetary policy in such a way that we do expect Japan to be one of the outperformers over the course of the next few years. And they've got some great companies involved and everything, obviously, from technology as well as in some of the more even local banks, which are going to be big beneficiaries of not just the TSE, the Tokyo Stock Exchange reforms, but also of obviously rising interest rates, rising inflation, something that Japan has literally not seen in over a generation. So while it's going to be a bumpy road, we do expect Japan to be one of those markets that will outperform near and long term. And our top-down country allocation approach right now continues to like Japan for those exact same reason.
Martin, so we touched on a number of different countries, regions, U.S., China, Japan. You also flagged Brazil. Walk us through some of the movements you're seeing there by those policymakers.
Well, what's interesting is Brazil, unlike the Fed, where they're trying to catch up, right? Brazil was actually at the forefront of more conventional monetary policy. They basically started to raise rates early in the cycle when they saw the first, if you will, inflationary pressures. And now, as we've seen, they're actually raising rates. It's interesting to see within the central banking community some of the changes out there. You've got Russia and Brazil that are raising. And then you've got obviously Japan also potentially in a raising mode. But then you have the rest of the world, the Fed, China, the ECB, the Bank of England, although they kept steady here recently. We do expect them to start to continue to cut. But in the case of Brazil, here's a market that we believe has a lot of potential. It's got a little bit of a political headwinds right now. Elections are over and done with, but we still think that there are some headwinds on the legislative front. We do believe that Brazil and companies like Nubank or Mercado Libre, which has a very large presence in Brazil, are very big beneficiaries of the longer-term consumption and obviously growth-oriented progress that Brazil has been making.